What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the G Show podcast. I am G1, and this is the Geek Out, episode 21. We got a lot of things on the docket today. Most notably, the Defenders review we will be going through. We've got a couple of things that happened over the week. A sequel nobody saw coming from one of my favorite guilty pleasure movies. Also, a sad passing announcement. But before we get into all of that, let me introduce you to my cohorts. Joining us, as always, my right hand on the G Show, G95 Matt. What's up, my brother?
Hello, everyone. I didn't prepare anything clever, so don't even get started with me on that.
And hopefully somebody with a lot more to say, my man from New York, C. Monty, a.k.a. The Defender. What's up, brother?
The King has returned.
The King has returned. That must be a Game of Thrones reference. But anyhow, before we start the show, I just want to pay some respects to Sonny Landham, who we all know as Billy from Predator. Billy was the big Indian dude with the really cool laugh. I love that damn thing. He passed away this week, so we just want to pay some respects to him and a little moment of silence. All right, so yes.
And we should also, just take a moment to throw in the stunt woman who was killed on the set of Deadpool 2 as well.
That's true. So let's take another moment of silence. All right, we get the passings out of the way. Let's talk about some stuff that happened this week. A couple of breaking news. I want to start off the show right off the top with the Obi Wan Kenobi movie news, which has not been officially announced yet, but I mean the sources are there, and it's like pretty much all but confirmed from Disney. They're in the works right now on putting together an Obi Wan movie. Now, we just had Star Wars Celebration earlier this year. Comic-Con is already come and gone. You would think that if they knew this was going to happen, at least at Celebration, we would have gotten this news, but it was all hush-hush, mum-mum, maybe because of the whole fiasco with Lord and Miller and the Han Solo thing. They probably just weren't ready for anything like that, but this news came out. It's been all over the place. Obi Wan Kenobi, is Ewan McGregor coming back? Matt, man, you talk Star Wars a lot. What's your take on this?
Well, I mean, as you guys have known, that I've been talking about an Obi-Wan standalone movie for forever. That's the one movie that I want to see more than any other, spin-off story. But I will not get excited for it until it is 100% confirmed. Lucasfilm and Star Wars I need it to be real. Otherwise, I'm just going to get my hopes up for nothing, and I'm just going to be crushed, devastated if it doesn't go through.
Chris, what about you?
I'm excited.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. I got my mouth full with chicken sandwich right now.
Yeah, he's eating chicken sandwich while we try to talk Obi Wan Kenobi. All right, you're excited. Anything else?
No, I mean, but much like Matt, until it's officially announced, because we've had stuff like this, sources confirm this and everything like that. There have been stories in the past where sources have confirmed things and then it didn't pan out. So, like Matt, unless I see it from Disney, from Lucasfilms, carved in stone by the hand of God himself, I'm just going to take it with a grain of salt until then. I'm excited for it. I want to see an Obi-Wan movie. I think we've all agreed on that. But, until it's official, a grain of salt.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that. I feel both of y'all on that. Obi-Wan is probably the only character in the Star Wars universe that I would like to see a solo film for. Even though we've kind of gotten the conclusion, we got the conclusion of Obi-Wan and Darth Maul saga in Star Wars Rebels earlier this year. So I'm kind of because I really would have liked to see, Darth Maul and Obi-Wan go at it on screen one last time, like a real epic lightsaber battle. I think that would have been pretty cool. But I'm still kind of excited for it. I too am gonna take it with a grain of salt. But there were some other things when this story dropped. The rumor mill per se that Lucasfilm had a young Yoda in a Boba Fett movie, and honestly, these are things that I don't want to see. I don't care where Yoda comes from. Like, I don't care. All I know is Yoda is a Jedi Master Hermit when we first meet him in Empire, and turns out to be one of the greatest Jedi Masters of all time when we see him in the prequels. I don't need his history. I don't need his backstory. Same thing with Boba Fett. I saw the origin of Boba Fett. He's a clone. I didn't like it then. Ain't nothing gonna change my mind about it. Boba Fett was cool up until the point where he got sucked into the Sarlacc. And that's the bottom line. If you want to do a Boba Fett movie, why don't you make something after Return of the Jedi? Maybe Boba got out and then had some crazy space bounty hunter adventure shit. I'll be cool with that. But anything before his demise, I don't want to see that shit. Matt, what about you? What's your take? You seen those two rumors, them two stories? Do you want to see one of these movies or both of these movies, or are you okay with them never making them?
I want to see a Yoda movie less than I want to see a Han Solo movie, and I don't fucking want to see a Han Solo movie.
Yeah.
Boba Fett, on the other hand, I'm a little more open to, because I'm on the train of belief that he is actually really cool, and I like Boba Fett, and like you said, I would love to see him after the events of Return of the Jedi, or, getting out of the Sarlacc pit and stuff, because there's so much of the EU that they could pick from, because that's where like Boba Fett shines in the Legends side of things, post Return of the Jedi, and I'd love to see that. But I'm also not holding my breath for it, because they'd have to do something really good to make this character really pop.
Yeah. I'm 100% agree with that. Look, if it's anything after Return of the Jedi, I'm on board. If it's anything before, I'm not. Chris, what about you? You down for a Yoda movie, Obi-Wan? Yoda and Boba Fett?
Not particularly. I mean, like you said, I really don't need to see, I don't need to see, Yoda as a Padawan, or, training how he became the greatest Jedi ever, or whatever like that. Some characters are better when you don't know their backstory. When you don't know the full mythology of how they got to where they are and everything like that. Darth Vader was cooler until you saw he used to be a whiny little teenager.
Yeah.
Michael Mueller, before you realized that, he came from a broken home. Thanks, Rob Zombie. You ruined Michael Myers for me. Yeah, so I don't need to see that. Boba Fett, I'm not interested in. We already know his backstory. We saw it in the prequels. And this might be a controversial statement for some, but I am in that camp that believes that Boba Fett is one of the most overrated characters ever. He didn't, before they started putting stuff about him in the extended universe to justify the level of hype he got, in the original movies, he did almost nothing.
I agree.
He did almost nothing to warrant the attention and the hype and the love that he got and everything like that. Because he stood silently in the background, people are like, oh, that guy must be cool. No, he sucked. He did nothing. He was terrible at his job.
He didn't even get Han Solo. Vader got him.
Vader got Han Solo. Then he's just hanging out in Jabba's palace. They break Han Solo out. Boats, whatever like that. He takes a shot at Luke, misses by feet, by yards, not even close, and then blind Han Solo accidentally knocks him off into a Sarlacc pit, and he dies. This is by far the lamest character in the Star Wars universe.
I love this so much.
This is a universe that has Greedo and freaking the Jewish guy who didn't want to sell Anakin. He's so overrated, and I have no interest. They had to backtrack and make him look cool just to justify, where did this hype come from? He sucked. So yeah, I have no interest in trying to continue the mythology, continue the myth that Boba Fett is worth paying attention to.
Man, I want to see a Young Greedo movie now. You know, we already saw Young Greedo with little Annie back in the pod races. But I want to see a Young Greedo movie. That's the movie they need to get on. That one. Matt, you got anything to say to my good friend Chris over here?
I mean, as much as I disagree, he's not wrong. Like, Boba Fett didn't do a ton, but it is that whole mysterious thing about him that he has this allure. And, you know, in the EU and in Clone Wars, and he's kicked ass. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, there was a series of books that picked up just before episode 2 and then ended just before episode 3, I think. And it was about his, like, sort of journey and stuff, and I thought it was great. I loved it.
I never read those. But I'll tell you what, man. If they have so much potential in the Star Wars universe to do so much, just go off the beaten path. They don't need to constantly be, well, let's utilize this person or let's utilize that character. It's like, why don't we create different characters? Yeah, honestly, you want and do different genres. I mean, we don't. Granted, Star Wars is a space opera, but that's for the Skywalker family. They could go in so many different directions. I mean, I would love to see a horror movie set in the Star Wars universe. You know, there's something there. I don't know if I would sit through a 2-hour drama set in the Star Wars universe. I don't want to see a love story there. You know, but there's a potential for this universe to open up to a vast amount of genres and give us brand new characters. They're just not doing it. And that's like what we see coming down the line, you know, with the first Han Solo and you know, Obi Wan. I'm pretty certain that's gonna happen. But then, like, the Boba Fett, I don't know. Like, anything after Return of the Jedi, I'm cool with. Yoda, absolutely not. What's next? We're gonna get the Chewbacca story? I don't need to see that. Why? You know, what I would love to see, to be perfectly honest with you, is a Rogue Squadron movie. I would love to see something Rogue Squadron take place after Return of the Jedi. That, you know, just a group of fighter pilots, X-wing pilots, mopping up the remnants of the Empire. I would love to see something like that. You could do 3 movies out of that. You know.
You know what I'm interested in seeing? Because you mentioned the idea of like a drama thing. Maybe that's not for you, but I would be interested in seeing like the way Marvel's been doing genre films with their superheroes. I'd like to see like them start doing more genre stuff with the Star Wars universe. I'd be interested in seeing like something like a 12 Years a Slave, like the Twi'leks.
That's okay. See, when you put it like that, and yeah, that actually sounds cool. So that's not a bad idea. Something in that regard, an uprising, if you will. I could see something like that. Matt, what about you? You have any anything you would like to see in a Star Wars movie?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, more genre movies would be really cool. Yeah, I mean, I'll just go along with almost anything that they give us, though.
Gotcha. Well, so there's our 13 cents on Star Wars and Obi-Wan and what we want to see. The Last Jedi comes out this year, so let's just hope that that's going to get knocked out the park. I'm hoping for it. I'm sure you guys are hoping for it. We shall see. It's a couple of months away, so... All right, that being said, I want to jump into this because I know this is Chris' favorite topic of the day. And that is the trailer for Skyline 2. It's called Beyond Skyline. It's starring Frank Grillo, coming to kick alien ass. Now, the first Skyline, man, I went to see this thing in the movie theaters. I really had, like, no ties to this movie. Nothing. Like, I went to this movie theater, it was just like, okay, it's an alien invasion movie. I wasn't, like, really hyped about it. And I came out like, yo... This movie was so bad, it's cheesy good. I loved it. It was fucking glorious. It's it's a guilty pleasure of mine. And I know I'm in the minority here, but I absolutely had a total fucking blast with that movie. I never thought they were going to do a sequel because Skyline 1 is almost 10 years old. And that's the thing, you know, hell, I didn't even care for a sequel, to be perfectly honest. I just liked the movie, and I see now they set it up. But... you know, after 5 years, you figure that nothing's coming from that. And I haven't heard a damn thing. And then all of a sudden, flat out. The other night, I'm about to go to sleep and I throw on YouTube like I always do to find something to lull my ass to bed. and said Skyline 2. And I said, what is this? This bullshit, what? And I clicked it, and I see Frank Grillo, and I'm like, wait a minute, what is this? This is not bullshit. And sure shit, there was Skyline 2. My man from the Raid is in it too, so that even had me more hyped. But yeah, I'm on board. After I saw that trailer, I couldn't go to sleep. I had to look it up, make sure everything was real, and sure shit, this movie's coming out. Whether or not it's on VOD or in theaters for an extended run, I don't know just yet. I don't even know when there's a release date. But all I know is I saw the trailer. I'm hyped. I'm excited. Chris, your thoughts?
Fuck this movie.
Come on, man. You know Frank Grillo is your favorite actor. Come on, man.
I do. I'll admit, I do like Frank Grillo. I've liked him since Warrior. You know, I thought he was really cool as what's this guy's name? He's the coach. He was the coach for Joel Edgerton.
Right.
I really like that. Like Frank Grillo has that because I didn't know who Frank Grillo was before that movie came out. So like I thought he was a legit like UFC coach that they just got for the movie. That I got from him and everything like that. So he has that tough guy thing. You know, when he first came out, I was like, when The Purge 2 first came out and they put him in that, I was like, okay, I would like to see a Punisher movie with Frank Grillo.
Yeah. Like
that's the vibe I got of him. He's got that kind of toughness to him. But he lost a little bit of favor for me when he made a comment on Conan one time that he thought that Crossbones would beat the Hulk. No way in hell. But aside from that, I know I was just joking. But even with him in this movie, even with Iko Elwes, or however you pronounce that, you know.
Yeah, no, I'm not trying. I'm not going there. Oh.
I loved him. Even with these two in the movie together, I really just have no interest in a sequel to Skyline. Like, Skyline tanked at the box office for a reason.
Yeah, not a lot of people went to see it.
It wasn't because of poor marketing, because they were marketing that movie everywhere.
True.
It was just a bad movie. It was like a step below Sharknado.
You're bugging. Shut your fucking face. Now you got me riled up. You just triggered me. Holy shit. It's too early on a Sunday for this shit. You're bugging. Sharknado 5 was kind of crazy, though.
At least Sharknado realized what it was and wasn't trying to take itself seriously.
Yeah, after the first one.
No, even the first one.
No, man, that first one, they was really trying to get down and dirty. Like, this could possibly happen. This jail, get the fuck out of here with that craziness. Don't you ever compare Sharknado to Skyline again. But anyhow, I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry I cut you off. You got me a little riled up.
Terrible. Skyline's terrible. I have no interest in the sequel. I feel like this movie's being set up for failure. Like some studio executive just needs to write off the taxes for the losses so he can pay off like his boat or something.
Matt, what about you, man? If you see the trailer, you as excited as I am?
Not even a little bit.
God damn it all.
Because I never saw Skyline.
Oh.
Never had any desire to. I heard it was pretty bad.
So bad it's good, man.
My friend, like I had friends who saw it, and they said, like, oh, the only good part about it is it has the black dude from Scrubs in it. And I'm like, well, I don't watch Scrubs, so I guess this movie has nothing for me.
Oh, man.
And yeah, so I had no idea this was a thing in the works, but I watched the trailer before we got on. I like Frank Grillo a lot. I've always liked him. But it looks interesting. It looks okay. Maybe I will have to go back and watch Skyline before I watch this, but maybe I'll just never even get around to watching this.
Listen,
I don't know.
Listen, you get a couple of your friends, you get a couple of kegs, you go to town and you watch Skyline. It'll be a great drunken viewing party, and you riff tracks it. That's what you do. You just riff tracks the whole damn movie. It's a bad movie. I cannot say it's not. It's a bad movie, but it's so bad it's fun. But it ain't Sharknado bad. Chris is just out of his mind. Damn hater. But yeah, so Skyline 2, everybody, go check it out, go see it, go support it, because we need a Skyline 3 in our futures. Jumping over that, speaking of things we need in our future, this is definitely for me and Matt. Chris, I know you've been trying to get back on the wagon. This week they showed the Godzilla Monster Planet trailer. They revealed the full trailer. It was pretty cool for most people. And then they showed off Godzilla in all of its newfound glory. And I use that term very loosely because this Godzilla is it has the silhouette of G14, and then they made him look like a tree. So I'm kind of bugging on it. I'm like, what the hell? The fandom's in an uproar, which I cannot wait for next Saturday when we do the Godzilla block party because that should be fun. But for right now, I had to throw this in here because, well, we're all G fans here. So Matt, you've seen this thing, you've seen the trailer. What are your initial thoughts of the trailer, and what are your thoughts of Godzilla's new look?
Well, I can only speak so much on the trailer because it was all in Japanese and not subbed. So, I mean, I just had to go off of what we already know and the visuals. And I don't like the visuals because I hate 3D animation. I just think it looks cheap and shoddy and just not great. And I don't like the design so much, and this is coming from somebody who adored the Shin Godzilla design, so, take from that what you will. I don't know, it is, like, aping G14 way too much in style, but I can look past it once it actually comes out, and we get to see it and see what it's like. I'm going into this with an open mind, but I don't think they're going in a great direction, because, I don't know, like, the big, beefy bodybuilder Godzilla has never been my ideal Godzilla, to me, anyway. And just, I mean, I'm sounding a little bit more negative than I actually am. I'm really excited for it. I can't wait. I think anime is a perfect medium for Godzilla, but just, like, please don't fuck it up. Just please don't fuck it up.
Yeah, nah, I hear you. Chris, you're not in the trenches like the rest of us G fans are, so you really don't, you haven't seen the fire and the flames just of war between the fandom. But you've seen the image. What are your thoughts?
Far be it from me to fat shame a fictional giant lizard monster, but this thing looks like Godzilla 2014 hit a depression cycle and started binge eating. It's just, like, really, really exaggerated. Like, it looks exaggerated to the point where it would be hard. I understand that suspension of disbelief is important to, like, movies like this and everything like that, and you gotta. But it looks exaggerated to the point where it's almost me who has a love for, like, science and physical reality and stuff like that. That a creature like that just wouldn't have mobility.
Right.
Like, he wouldn't be able to move. There's too much mass for it to support its own weight or whatever. I'm sure the movie itself will be cool. I just don't like animation that super exaggerates. So that'll probably take me out of it a little bit.
Gotcha.
Again, because like Matt said, the trailer was in Japanese and it wasn't sub. I hope that when the actual movie drops, they actually have the subtitles.
It'll be dubbed once it hits Netflix, more than likely. Because I've always been the type that I prefer, like, when stuff comes out of Japan, like animes and everything like that, I always prefer to watch the Japanese language, but with the subtitles. It's just I guess it's just because that's how I was introduced to anime, so it's just like this. That's my experience with it, and that's how I relate to it and everything like that. I've never been a fan of English dubs. I've always thought that, like, every English dub I've ever watched, the voice acting sounded terrible to me. Even Cowboy Bebop? Get out of here with that shit.
That's the best one.
Well,
that's the best
Cowboy
one.
Bebop being the exception for me.
Thank you.
Cowboy Bebop was good. But everything else, like the Dragon Ball Z dubs are terrible.
Terrible.
The Naruto dubs are terrible. Bleach dubs are terrible. Like I just don't like them.
Well, you should be able to watch it in Japanese too, because I know on most of the Netflix animes you can switch between Japanese and English.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'll definitely check it out. It looks interesting, and I'll try to look past. I'll try not to fat shame Godzilla because I'm not exactly a small individual myself. So brothers in fatness unite.
Damn right. It's just funny how we have the war between the Shin look and now this, and it's gonna go crazy. To me, this is more reminiscent than of Godzilla, and yeah, it's more 2014. Shin Godzilla just looked like a damn zombie Godzilla. This is the new war we're gonna live. This is the next battle for G fans. This is what we're gonna be fucking arguing about. I'm perfectly honest. I'm so on the fence with this look because I really did want to see. It's an animation. Go back to a classic look, and I don't mean pick from one of the movies, but give it a design reminiscent of classic Goji, and then hit it with an upgrade. But whatever, it is what it is. This thing has leaves for spines, and that's very interesting in its own right. But we're going to get more in depth than that next week when we do the Godzilla blog party. But for right now, it's time to defend the TV show known as Iron Fist. Because if it wasn't for Iron Fist, we would not have the show, The Defenders. So kudos to you, Iron Fist, for being the best damn Netflix Marvel show on Netflix. Thank you very much. I'm lying. The Defenders came out this weekend. We all had a chance to sit down with it and watch all 8 episodes, which I was actually happy it was 8 episodes as opposed to 13, because I was like, shit, I don't know how I'm going to, utilize my time here, because there was a lot of shit going on this weekend. But 8 episodes was perfect. I watched the first episode on Friday night. I hated the first episode. I started to watch the second episode, fell asleep halfway through it, woke up Saturday morning, said, all right, I got to do this. Rewatched the first episode just to make sure I didn't like it. This is bad. This got a bad taste in my mouth right now. Watched the whole second episode, and it wasn't until the end of the second episode where I was like, okay, there's some action, there's some things happening. Hopefully the third episode keeps this momentum. And it did for what it's worth. At the end of the day, I'm throwing it over to Chris. Chris, what you think of the Defenders?
Oh, man. Like, we all know I've been a pretty avid fan of these Marvel Netflix shows, even to the point where I actually defended Iron Fist a little bit. Like, it wasn't my favorite, but I didn't think it was as terrible as everyone was making out to be. And I had hope that they were going to improve the character as time went on. And then the Defenders came out, and it's just making it apparent that Iron Fist makes everything terrible.
Oh, man.
Because the writing for that character, the portrayal for that character and everything that was going on with Iron Fist's character in the show dragged down the entire show so severely that it made Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and Luke Cage look weak. Not weak like, in the power sense. It just made their storylines a little bit weaker for having to be involved with Iron Fist. I think that was the main thing that made, I was not a huge fan of the show, and that was the main reason why, is that the stuff happening with Iron Fist was just, so bland.
Danny Bland?
Yeah, Danny Bland. There you go. And I just couldn't get into it. They really need to start focusing. If they're going to do a season 2, which has already been greenlit, they really have to hardcore get Finn Jones into some kind of choreography training. Yeah. Because he's bad at it. They refuse to use stunt doubles where they could throw the mask on and use stunt doubles over like that. And his fighting sequences have more cuts than Project Cocaine.
Jesus Christ.
It's really hard to follow. It's really bad. Same thing as you. After the second episode, I was kind of starting to think that maybe I didn't want to watch it anymore. The third episode happened, and then the big fight scene happened at the Midland Circle building.
Yeah.
And say what you will, Oscar scenes choreographed to hip hop music, particularly "Run the Jewels." So I really love that sequence because I'm a huge Run the Jewels fan. So I really love that sequence. The final fight at the end of the series where they like you threw in Wu-Tang. You threw in Wu-Tang, but that fight was just like so all over the place. The green screen and the elevator was terrible.
Terrible.
Like, you couldn't build a physical... I get doing the shaft or whatever like that would have been a little bit complicated, but you couldn't build, like, a physical set for the elevator. The elevator itself was obviously CG onto that platform.
Yeah.
All of the rest of the characters from the Hand, aside from Madame Gao and Sigourney Weaver's character, Alexandra, all of them were completely uninteresting and didn't need to be there. Even Bakudo, like, I knew they were going to bring Bakudo back because he survived at the end of Iron Fist, but I hated Bakudo on Iron Fist too.
Right.
And that character is just completely just uninteresting. So the villains were uninteresting. I even felt that, like, Elektra was weak. They didn't utilize her properly. It just, so much of it was just, like, so bland and so uninteresting and so, like, the dialogue was cheesy, and not the good kind of comic book cheesy that, like, you know, fans like us can appreciate, but the kind of cheesy, like, did the person who wrote this just get out of, like, a first-year screenwriting class? It just, I can't. I really, I don't hate the show. I'm not going to say that I hate the show or that it was a terrible show, but all the build-up, all the hype, all this talk of, like, you know, from Daredevil, I think it was from Daredevil season 2 on, we were like, yeah, we're going to do Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, and then we're going to build it towards the Defenders. And yes, the Defenders, like a street-level Avengers taking on street crime, and then we get this, and it was just, I couldn't get into it, man. I couldn't enjoy it. Maybe I got to give it a second run, but it just wasn't working for me.
I got you. Matt, what about you?
I don't know. Like, yeah, I can sympathize a lot with what Chris said, because I found the story very convoluted and hard to follow, because it was just jumping around from character to character for so much. And so by the end, I had no fucking clue what was going on. I mean, I get Iron Fist was there because, you know, it was all about him. You know, the Hand wants him and stuff. Jessica Jones is there because I don't even remember why she's there.
She was chasing the architect.
And Daredevil's there because Jessica Jones is there, and Luke Cage is there just because. And, like, yeah, I don't know, like, even I felt the choreography was really dumbed down. Like, they either like, I feel like they nerfed Daredevil, like, a lot to make up for, you know, Iron Fist's bad choreography. And yeah, I didn't feel any of the villains were compelling. Even Sigourney Weaver was kind of, like, she's been much more sinister in so many other movies. And that's something she does really well, is she can play that stern, sinister, like, don't fuck with me, you know, I'm in charge kind of thing. Case in point, Chappie. She was kind of that way in Chappie.
That's right.
And then she's just kind of there, and she's, like, super nice to everyone, even though, like, she's this big badass. And I didn't get their whole immortal thing. Like, okay, so they're all immortal, but they can be killed like regular people, and they can also die by natural causes like cancer. So, I don't know. Is that really being immortal?
I agree with that too, man. Holy shit.
And yeah, I don't know. I feel like Luke Cage could have taken the entire Hand on. Like, the rest of the Defenders didn't even need to be there, and so they just, like, nerfed him quite a bit too. You know, he, like, and when they were, like, the big final battle when they were fighting Elektra, like, why are you all just going at her one at a time? Like, just like, and obviously, you know, Daredevil held his own against her at the end. So I don't know why you just like needed a whole team to do it, and the whole team couldn't even like I don't know, it was dumb. Like Jessica Jones could have just easily killed Elektra or killed like anybody. Okay, so she throws a car through a building as if nothing happened, but when she punches someone, that person's bones don't just explode. Like, fuck you with that.
Yeah, that's been a major problem with me throughout these series as well, is how they kind of depower the characters for plot convenience, just to keep things going. Like, it was one of the first stuffs that I had when Luke Cage first came out, and they were showing the trailers and everything like that. And then he had him going up against Cottonmouth, and it turned out that Cottonmouth didn't really. I wasn't familiar with Cottonmouth's character because I wasn't really familiar with Luke Cage from comic books and everything like that. But Cottonmouth is just like a regular gangster in Harlem. Like, he doesn't have any superpowers or anything. So I was like, so what's the threat here? Because Luke Cage's skin is impenetrable. He's super strong. He can tear through that whole organization like it's nothing. Like, they're not a threat. It's not a challenge for him. And it's the same thing like Matt was saying here. It's the same thing here. Like, yes, the hand deals in mysticism and everything like that, and they have slightly preternatural powers and everything. But, like, if Luke Cage even just got a hand on Elektra, he would have just tossed her, like, through a fucking wall. And, like, I know Luke Cage's big thing is I don't hurt innocent people, but Jessica Jones doesn't have that hang-up.
Yep.
She did the same thing that she did to Kilgrave. Just grab her by the throat, snap her neck with one hand. Iron Fist, who again is severely underpowered in these series, he can only do it in one hand. And for someone who's like
charge like a phone and stuff too.
Yeah, like for someone who has been training in martial arts since he was 10 years old, calls himself the immortal Iron Fist, and he's supposed to be like one of the greatest martial artists on the planet. The guy gets his ass kicked a lot by people who don't even know Kung Fu the way he knows Kung Fu. Like, and I Matt mentioned it, like, I've seen a couple of comments on how great the fight sequence between Daredevil and Iron Fist was when they had the whole things like, we need to lock him away so the hand can't get their hands on him. And they start having their fight sequence and everything like that. And I was like, this should have been an amazing battle between two people who are great fighters. But you can see where Charlie Cox's choreography had to be toned down so Finn Jones could keep pace.
Wait, did you just say Finn Balor?
No, I stuttered. I said Finn Jones.
You just said Finn Balor, who's going to be on SummerSlam tonight. Everybody, a wrestling blog from your man Chris.
Jesus Christ.
I don't know. I didn't hate the show, but like, it was just not great. Like, my biggest complaint was how convoluted it was. Like, I mean, I know your guys' complaints, especially yours, Chris, is the fight scenes and how bland it was, but mine's like, I don't know what's going on. Because it's non-stop exposition.
Yeah.
The
whole way through. It's just everything that happens is exposition.
Yeah. I didn't really have too much problem following that. It's just certain things where like if the show had been longer than 8 episodes, I think it would have been an interesting thing to because their whole thing was after Iron Fist gets kidnapped or whatever like that, and they go, oh, we're going to blow up this circle so the hand can't get access to whatever they're getting access to. But then you find out the whole thing is like a secret door to Kunlun, which seems like the kind of thing, like they already had their little hang-up when he was like, no, I'm in this fight, you can't keep me away from this. And like, no, we got to keep you away from the hand and everything like that so they can't use you. And then he finds out there's a secret door to Kunlun, and then their plan is to blow it up. And I would feel like Iron Fist would be like, no, wait, I kind of want to be able to use this to go back to Kunlun because the other part got destroyed or whatever. So that could have been like a nice little conflict for the group too. But that's besides the point. Like, there's just so many things where it's just like things weren't fleshed out the way they should have been fleshed out. Ideas were introduced and then dropped.
Daredevil was horribly underused.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Like, yeah, it was just way too much focus on every other character except for Daredevil. When, like, let's be honest here, we all kind of wanted to see more Daredevil.
Yeah.
And one of my biggest complaints was like Jessica Jones is the most interesting character in the show, and I fucking hated Jessica Jones. Like, I hated her show. It was terrible. My least favorite, just by far. And, like, suddenly she's pretty much the only one I want to see, because Luke Cage is just kind of... He's just kind of there. He doesn't really know what's going on. He's just like, oh, I gotta do what's right. And so he's just kind of there. Like, he's good in his own show, but he's not really working out too well in other people's shows.
I'll tell you right now, man, for me personally, I don't know why I was doing this. I was trying not to do this, but I kept looking at it from like a filmmaker's perspective. And it was just really, it was like tiny things would piss me off. Like, and this is real nitpicking. This ain't even my overall complaint with the show. I'm going to get there. But like, I'm looking at it like from a filmmaker's perspective, and there's just some random weird shots. The damn train transitioning thing. Every time Luke Cage comes on or leaves the scene, the transitions with this little music, and nobody else had that, just Luke Cage. The weird shots from inside of the burnt out car looking at Rosario Dawson sitting on the stoop was silly. I hated all that little things like that was bothering me. My beefs were Luke Cage was absolutely boring in the show. His acting was terrible in this show. I was sitting there like, oh my God, he has no charisma. He has the look, and that's it. But he was uncharismatic in the show. I felt more for him in the Luke Cage show and even in Jessica Jones, I felt more for him in Jessica Jones. I was digging him more than I did in anything he did here in The Defenders. I was kind of like, he's boring. Finn Jones, I agree. It's the same thing Chris said. This dude is not good. And I hate to say it because I really like Iron Fist. I like Iron Fist. He was an integral part of the story, and I got that. But the story with Luke Cage getting there because he was chasing some kid, you know what I'm saying? Like, that to me was like, really? Like, that's your whole thing. I'm going to go talk to these people and say, hey, leave this kid alone and leave Harlem alone. And so I just happened to be there when all of a sudden everybody's there. And, you know, Jessica Jones, because she's investigating the architect, right? God. And it was just like, okay, big fat question mark. I didn't like it, man. At the end of the day, I was just like, okay, it's there. I'm going to probably watch it again. I have to, but no time soon. And like Matt said, the dumb down of Daredevil, that pissed me off a lot. And it's funny because I was on the phone with my best friend yesterday, and we were talking about this, and he was like, because he binge watched the whole thing Friday into Saturday. Like, he was like, I was up, I couldn't sleep, so I just did it. And he was saying there was a lot of good fights. I was waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. I was like, there's not at all. It was like, the Charlie Cox, what they do in Daredevil was not seen here at all. Daredevil's fighting ability in this show is not what we've seen for 2 seasons of Daredevil, and that pissed me off. It did. I was just like, Daredevil should be breaking these dudes down quick and easy. Quick and easy. And it did. I don't know.
One thing I didn't really like too much was, so they would start doing the Daredevil, like, uninterrupted shot of just, like, uninterrupted fight scene, no cuts, and they'd get a little bit into it, and then they'd cut. Yeah. They did that a few times, and, like, the big, like, they could have done it really well with in the building in episode 3, when they were all first meeting. They started doing that, and then they started cutting, and I was like, well, god damn it, you just ruined all this momentum, because we all knew it was coming, you know, and the music kicked in.
Because of Finn Jones. Sorry to catch up, but I feel like that was because of Finn Jones. Like, couldn't keep pace on the long.
The cutting started when Daredevil was on screen, though.
Yeah, and I know. What I'm saying is that they could have. I honestly feel if it had just been Charlie Cox, Kristen Ritter, and Mike Colton and everything doing that fight scene in the hallway, they probably could have done the extended hallway take and everything like that.
I'm gonna disagree with you there because I'm gonna be honest with you. Kristen Ritter was terrible in the fights. Absolutely terrible.
One thing is that because their characters like they're brawlers. They're not choreographed or anything like this. They could have just been in the background in the hallway, just tossing people around while you follow Charlie Cox doing his martial arts stuff. And that could have been a single long tape, like the hallway fights they had in Daredevil season 1 and season 2 with the staircase. But I feel like because Finn Jones was also supposed to be doing this crazy martial arts stuff, and he couldn't keep pace with the choreography, they had to do more cuts to adjust for his character.
See, I see what you're saying there, but like even at the end, that last fight sequence, man, where it could have been there could have been at least 3 to 4 minute uncut shot. She was bad, and even Mike Coulter was bad. Luke Cage was terrible too. He did a spear. This guy jumped and he speared the dude, but then like instead of bringing him straight down, he kind of ran with him and then just dropped him. And I was like, "Yo, you're Luke Cage." You know what I'm saying? Like that dude should have been ripped in half if you would have hit him like that. And it kills me because I'm like, "What the fuck is this?" And then not even that, but then all of the cannon fodder hands at the end who should have been in ninja garb but weren't. And I'm like, these gotta be like the high-ranking officials because they with Madame Gao and the rest of the top hand members. So they gotta be like the elite squad. They were getting their asses kicked. But you see, Luke Cage hit you, you should be done for, right? Pretty much you should be knocked the fuck out, period. But these dudes are getting back up. One particular thing that bothered me, the Japanese dude, I loved him. First off, I loved his voice. He was heavy Japanese, never talked English. I love that character. He did absolutely nothing. He threatened Elektra and didn't do anything after that. I was sitting there waiting for a big fight with him. And then Iron Fist punches him in the face without his Iron Fist and knocks him out. And I'm like, wait a minute. What just happened? And then the next scene, he's up with Madame Gao. And I'm like, it's just bad editing, bad writing, bad directing. What the fuck is going on here? And really, putting the Wu-Tang Clan up in there, like, for nostalgia purposes, Protect Your Neck is one of the greatest songs ever made. I love that song. It didn't work there. That scene, it did not work at all. It was so out of place. Yeah.
If you go back to the boardroom scene when Iron Fist first confronts them all, and you look at, like, the people sitting at that table, it's so blatantly obvious that they're all stunt people. Like, I called it within 10 seconds. Like, okay, they're all going to stand up and he's going to fight them all. And that's exactly what happened. Because if you look at them, they just looked like stunt people. They didn't do anything to make them look like not stunt people.
Members of the board, right?
Yeah.
It's so true.
It's just bad. And can we talk about like the biggest like dick tease in the whole show was including Punisher in the trailer and not including Punisher in the show?
Yeah.
I was really hoping for the Punisher to come in at the last episode and start shooting shit up.
When they had that trailer and showed his character, it looks like I showed up just in time. And I was like, yep, it's going to be a big movie. And no, that's not. He didn't show up in time. He didn't show up at all. Like,
wait, maybe it was at the end of the credits. Maybe it was like the end credit scene because I stopped as soon as the credits started rolling. I was like, yep, shut it off.
But Netflix generally doesn't do end credit scenes.
Well, that was a joke, a Marvel thing, you know.
Yeah.
But
one of the things that annoyed me too, again, going back to them depowering people and everything like that, there was one particular scene and I was like, come on. So there was a scene where Jessica Jones is walking down the street and then they cut it to scene like Daredevil, like Matthew Murdock is following her. And then she psychs him out, whatever like that, and knows that goes to start following him and he cuts down the alley completely and does like the ninja jumps off this. Daredevil did not sense her following him, like, at all.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Ask her. Like, this dude is a dude that can hear one person's heartbeat rooms away in his room. But he didn't hear Jessica Jones following him down the alley. Pictures.
Yeah. I tell you, that scene, you know what bothered me with that scene? And then that was one of those scenes that the director eye started coming into focus, like the filmmaker started looking at it. I was looking at the extras during that scene. There's one dude, I'm just watching the extras because you see they're trying to get on camera. They want to be in the shot. They need their face. You know, we know this, Chris, you know, doing odd end things here and there in the city, whether you're an extra on a film shoot or you're working with a filmmaker doing certain things. You know, for me, when I was younger, you know, I did a couple of extra things, and they always say, don't look at the camera. Don't look at the star. Just do what you're doing in your everyday life. And that always stuck with me. So now when I watch a show like this, that's what I'm paying attention to. There's one guy who pops up 3 times in that sequence, which makes no damn sense, because in one shot he's across the street, in another shot he's in front of Jessica Jones, and another shot he's on the other side of the street again. What's going on? Is this black dude with a scarf? Just watch that scene and look for the black guy with the scarf.
The black dude, because I was about to mention him, man. I know exactly what you're, because there's one shot in there where like she's following behind him, and the camera spell 1.5 minutes, and it led me to believe that that dude was going to be important to that scene. Like maybe he was the guy that was following him, and it's going to turn out he worked for the hand or something like that. Why are you keeping the camera on this one random extra for like 2-3 minutes?
It's so funny, man. I was just like, what the hell's going on?
Why was Foggy and Karen even on the show? They did nothing.
But that was another thing that kind of pissed me off. Let's throw everybody from the only people that they needed to put on that they didn't put on was Shades and what's her name? Those are
Right.
That's what I want to see, because those are solid characters. Like, bring those motherfuckers into the. Nah, look, I think overall there were hits and misses for me. Overall, I disagree with you a little bit. I found the comic book cheesiness in there. In a couple of scenes, a couple of episodes, I found the comic book, and I was like, okay. But it was one of those, this isn't a good issue type of comic books, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I like Misty. I like Dan Luke Cage. I like the hair. I like that they took her arm off. I'm hoping for the robot. You know, Colleen Wing was just in the way in my book. And, you know, yeah, overall, I think it was just a mess. I think they had a good idea that didn't work. And they tried to do it because they were like, look, we already announced it. They just couldn't get it right on paper. Dumbing down characters like Daredevil, siphoning powers away from Iron Fist. Yo, you had one sequence where Madame Gao is using her chi to just push everything around, and including Iron Fist. And then the next sequence, Iron Fist, their powers connect to something, and they all get blown. The whole entire hand crew gets blown back, and then he never uses that again. And I'm sitting there like, what?
But see, another thing that annoyed me, just as something I was, like, for instance, when he stupidly, as usual, because he's a fucking idiot.
God damn, leave Iron Fist alone.
But that's why I was glad when they called him the dumbest Iron Fist. Like, because he is. He's the dumbest Iron Fist. When he gets into the fight with Elektra and she does the shit with the sigh and uses his hand to, like, I was hoping that, like, when he got into that secret Kunlun tunnel, that something would happen and would unlock his chi and he would have both fists ready to rock and go. And, like, I was hoping something like that would happen. That would be, like, the big moment of the show. Like, now he's fully powered and now he's going to fuck you guys up. And they didn't do it. And, like, there were so many things that, like, there were certain moral points, like when Luke Cage and Iron Fist first met up and they were arguing over chasing the kid down. You were going to beat that kid up and all this stuff and everything like that. And he was talking about, like, he's just a kid trying to do the right. Yo, I caught him in there burning bodies of murder victims. Like, I understand, maybe he's got a tough life and everything like that, but he's in there destroying evidence. He's not an innocent dude.
Yep.
Don't try to play, like, that moral high ground shit with me on that. Talking about white privilege. And yeah, Danny Rand does have white privilege, but in that particular instance, he was in the right. The dude was destroying evidence of several murders.
Yep.
He's not an innocent kid at that point.
All right, Matt, I'm going to start with you. Your final overall take and rating for the Defenders.
Overall, good, not great. Pretty underwhelming. 6 out of 10. Hope season 2 is better. Probably will never watch this again.
Okay. Chris, your take on it overall and a rating.
In my best Immortan Joe voice, mediocre! I'd put it at maybe like a 4 or 5. Not even, I wouldn't even give it, I'd have to put it at like a 4 out of 10. Like 2.5 stars. It could have been so much better. It was so much fun. Whoever was the showrunner on this particular show, they need to replace him.
Yeah.
Because he did not know what he was doing at all.
Yeah.
I hate to disparage other people's work like that. Like the same thing. I hate disparaging Finn Jones's work because I'm sure he's like, a hardworking actor and everything like that. But I don't know what they saw in his audition tape to make them think that he should be an Iron Fist. I don't know what they saw in the showrunner's reel that made them think that he could handle running the show.
All I'm saying, I'm gonna go middle of the road, 5 out of 10. Whatever they do next season, or going forward in general, what they need not ever do is bring Shang-Chi in there. Because if they bring Shang-Chi, the master of Kung Fu, up in any of these Netflix shows, there's going to be issues, especially if it's with Iron Fist. Because, yes, as much as I did enjoy that show, he wasn't that good in Defenders, and it did, like Matt said, seem to dumb everybody down, especially Daredevil, because we all saw what Daredevil could do in his 2 seasons. And that was not evident here. So, yeah, I'm going middle of the road, 5 out of 5. I'm going to give it a watch again, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to watch every single season that leads up and then just go through. I don't know when, because that's a lot of television. And next week's Game of Thrones finale, which means I'm about to get on that binge-watching spree. But that'll do it for this edition of the G Show podcast. Thank you guys for joining us. Chris, man, thanks for hanging out.
Of course.
And Matt, thank you again.
Of course, thanks for having me.
Yep, and thank you all, guys. Thank you all out there for geeking out with us, and let us know what you thought of the Defenders. Were we too hard on it? I don't think so. I'm pretty sure we're all in agreement. It's mediocre. That'll do it for now. I am G1. This is the Geek Out. Peace.